calling to order the regular Tuesday meeting for Tuesday, April 10th, 2012. We have our invitation given by Commissioner McAvoy. Do you have one?
I do not.
And our pledge led by Commissioner Flowers.
Need to be forewarned of these things before you get here.
Please bow your heads for prayer. Father, we are here today to ask for your blessing and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just to the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please place the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under presentation of delegation, we'd like to recognize Lieutenant Sam Parks of the Griffin Police Department as March 2012 Strongest Link Award recipient.
Claim.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a great pleasure to introduce and recognize Lieutenant Sam Parks of the Griffin Police Department for being the strongest link in the chain for the month of March. Sam has been with the city of Griffin. He's working on 31 years. He is probably the last officer that we have that actually rode a motorcycle here for the police department. He and Captain Howard were the last two. And Sam is very diligent, very dedicated, very quiet. He's very gracious to people. He's a gentleman in every sense of the word, and he's an expert in fraud and forgery. And if you get a piece of paper and take it to a bank and it's not yours, you'll be in trouble. And I think Miss Rita, you're going to come and say a few words about Sam. Rita actually nominated Sam from another department, which is, I think that's the first time we've recognized somebody that was nominated by somebody else, right?
A couple of times.
Yes. So come on, Miss Rita.
In February, I was blessed and honored to be the strongest link. However, I felt guilty in that receipt of that award because Sam is the other half of that function being carried out with fraudulent leases. When we've handled a case together and the customer was a bit irate, and when she came in, she was not happy to see me and deal with me, and Sam handled it, diffused it, took care of it, came back to make sure that she had handled everything that she needed to do. We're blessed in customer service and blessed with the city to have a person that works together as a team for the city's interest. And just like in a chain, they connect, those links, he connects with us. And we appreciate him very, very much.
It's an honor to receive this award, and I want to thank Chief Strickland personally for making all this possible. Thank you.
Get your chain. Wait a minute.
You gotta wear it.
I got it.
Okay, next we'll review the financials for, February 2012.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. The first item on the agenda for tonight was the balance sheet, or the balance cash report. Basically, we're accumulating a little bit of cash here and there because of the time of year, and that will then be liquidated for capital acquisitions and purchases. The investments are performing pretty well. Just had a review with our investment broker, Morgan Stanley, Sean Kane, his group, and the Cemetery Trust Fund in specific is really performing well. We've shifted the strategy to towards a more income-producing model, and we're seeing the effects of that now. So we're seeing some increased cash flow coming out of the Cemetery Trust Fund. Any questions on the cash overall? Okay. Next item on the list is the sales tax analysis for the local option sales tax and the special purpose local option sales tax. We're on track for the loss component, coming in at roughly $2.3 million. We're going to project a surplus there of about $100,000 or so. And on the SPLOST, we will see numbers coming in again around March, when the after the capital has been satisfied for the acquisition of the buildings for the bonds. So that's taken care of. Overall, the SPLOST, though, will more than likely project a shortfall, and we're going to continue to reevaluate projects and shift projects out to the outlying years and reprioritize those that we need to do now versus later. Any questions on the lost and SPLOST numbers? Okay. Moving on to the interim statements then. Revenues are coming in more or less as planned. On the general fund side, property taxes have been collected for the most part. We don't anticipate too much more coming in. I do expect an excess of what we've budgeted for this year, roughly $100,000 or so, $150,000 in excess.
You predicted what? I didn't know what you said.
On the property tax revenues, I'm projecting a little bit higher than what we budgeted.
Okay, higher. Good.
Sorry, I apologize for
You surprised me.
misspeaking.
That probably didn't register.
Yes. Well, we're always programmed in for lower, lower, lower.
Very
In this
good.
instance, we're going to come in a little bit higher.
Wonderful.
Business licenses look very strong.
Yes, sir. We've had some pretty good success on the business license aspect, and we do have a couple extra businesses that have been registered, so that's part of the economic development. So we're seeing the fruits of those labors. Beyond that, all the departments seem to be holding back on their expenditures. We're at like 67%, 65% here and there. On the personal services, we should be around 67%, so we're holding back consistently throughout the organization. Roughly 59% on the fuel and stormwater fees, so we're being conservative in many areas. Any other questions or anything specific that you'd like me to address? My focus may be slightly different than everyone else, so I'd like to address your needs and concerns.
No, anybody have anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into citizen comments. At this time, the chairperson opens the floor to comments from the audience. Comments should relate to a specific agenda item not listed on the agenda for a public hearing or to a concern within the jurisdiction of the city. City Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting city business and are not a forum for the unlimited expression of opinions. The chairperson reserves the right to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for resolution. Is there anyone on my left that would like to come forward and address the board? Is there anybody on the right that would like to come forward? Please come forward.
I am Moselle Sanders from 540 North Third Street.
Will you pull the microphone down, ma'am? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I didn't catch
I
it.
am Moselle Sanders from 540 North Third Street, and I have two things I would like to bring before the board. Number one, you know, we are naming streets after our Afro-Americans, athletes. And I would like to see Jefferson Street be renamed in the honor of Griffin McCraven, who is a pro football player. Now, he finished from Fairmount, he finished from Clark, and he was drafted by the Falcons. And I would ask the board if they would consider renaming it. And plus, he was reared on that corner, and his mama still resides there, and the brother is still in Griffin. Now, I got another one.
Okay.
The other one, the house or property that is 544 North Third Street, look like a wilderness. Please, y'all, send somebody to cut those red strips down. I'm down there by myself, and it is a dope section. And the grass needs cutting, and the property, I'm sure, runs about 300 feet frontage.
And what was that address again? Was it
544.
North 3rd Street?
Uh-huh. Please, y'all. I don't want none, y'all have to go to my funeral. I mean, I'm not being facetious, but it is a wilderness. And see, and my house is right there too. Plus, it is a dope area. And anybody can, now they have a house that was built up in the garage. I think cars are going down because they can come down the driveway and go under there and park and do anything they want. And it's next to my window. And I hear things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sanders. Okay, is there anyone else on the right that would like to come forward and address the board? Thank you. Now we'll move into public hearings. Public hearings are conducted to allow public comments on specific advertised issues such as rezoning, ordinances, policy development, operating budget, and other legislative action to be considered by the City Commission. Next, we'll receive comments regarding a request for a special use permit to allow for an existing residential property located at 609 North 17th Street to be utilized as a non-commercial kennel under the medium-density residential zoning district. Adam Cosner will address.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This was a request to utilize a current residential property that is zoned MDR for a non-commercial kennel. Planning staff recommended denial. Planning and Zoning Board did not have a motion on it, so we refer back to the planning staff's denial, and I believe the applicant is here. If you have any questions for me.
This is I know it's a fairly tiny little lot, 0.19 acres.
Yes. Does not meet the size or the requirements for setback from property lines for enclosures for these types of uses, which is 100 feet from property line. And the lot is simply too small.
The owner of the house, who lives, is somebody residing there now?
Yes.
Okay, would you give us your name and address for the minute?
Laura Renfro, 609 North 17th Street, Griffin, Georgia.
Okay. Does someone reside here now? Is it occupied?
When everything happened, my other meeting, I had no problem in South Georgia, so I moved out and went back to South Georgia. Because the gentleman at the other board informed me that y'all was gonna tell me no. So I just lost the money and I moved back down to Ellaville, Georgia.
So you applied and then you left town and moved away, so.
I applied, but when the other board was telling me that I had one gentleman that was standing behind me, and all the rest of them had no comment, they left it up to y'all whether it could or could not be done. And the other one gentleman told me that y'all was going to tell me no. So instead of me sitting here crying about the animals, I just left.
So really, this is sort of a non-issue now since.
Non-issue.
Okay.
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 Who's the owner of the house?
Who?
Ford.
Laura Jean Ford.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, any other comments? Is that it? Okay, the next one is receive comments regarding a request for a special use permit to allow for utilizing an existing residential structures as a places of assembly for property located at 224 and 232 West Tinsley Street.
Yes, this is a request to operate a church at the stated address. It's actually two properties and two structures, but they are contiguous, under same ownership, same zoning. Staff recommended denial, and Planning and Zoning recommended approval. Correct. At the last P&Z meeting, there was some extra comments made, I guess, by the applicant at that time about potentially using the property also for a school. That just may be something you want to ask about. I don't know if that was a school. You know, churches will do Vacation Bible School, which really isn't a separate school. It's just a part of a program. I wasn't there, but I believe that comment was made, and so some clarification in that regard may help.
An actual school would throw it in a whole different.
I believe so. You're talking about a lot of different issues, so I think that's probably something that we should get.
Licensing involved with
Yeah.
schools.
So if the applicant's here, then maybe she can address that.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Yes.
Good evening. I'm sorry if they misunderstood me. What I was saying about the school is that in other locations that.
Ma'am, excuse me, could you give your name and
Okay.
address, please?
Annie Mangum.
And get your address, give your address for the.
118 for the school or for where I live?
Your address, where you live.
118 Mixon Street, and that's here in Griffin.
Okay, go ahead.
Now we're ready.
Okay. I think they misunderstood me a little bit when I was talking about school. We was located at one time in the Coca-Cola building, and before they changed hands, we had to move. And at that time, we was doing like not like a Vacation Bible School, we were doing a summer school. And Grace Academy, they were so nice until they allowed us to use some of their facility because we didn't have enough room. And the reason we do Vacation Bible School is to help our children with their CRCT test. We have retired teachers that come in, and we do like a 3-month thing. And we not only do we teach them about God, but we teach them about a whole lot of different things that we teach. And God opened up this area because if anybody know this area, we need to get into this area and to try to help our people. And that is one of the reasons that we are there. And we want to do other things, but we want all to come up under the umbrella of the church. There's a lot of things that we really, really need to do and want to do over there. And the people are really need the help. And if you ride through, you see that every house pretty much is boarded up. Across the street from me, there's only one tenant. On the same side that we are, there's only two tenants, but one is getting ready to move because of there's some discrepancy with the house. And so they're just a great place that if you want to do any type of volunteer work or do anything that's going to help somebody, that is a great place to be. But as far as the school, we are not doing that type of school. It's just underneath the cover of the church.
Okay, now there are 4 recommendations, conditions. Are you familiar with them that they recommended on the property?
You could just refresh me.
Limited to 224 and 232 West Tinsley, fire and safety inspection, and you register with the city of Griffin. And
oh yes,
yeah,
oh,
you're
yes. We're familiar with all that.
issues.
We have a licensed construction that's doing all our work for us, because we know when when this passed that the fire department is going to come in and we have to be up to code, and so we're already working on all that, pretty much finished with it.
And number 1, and I should have mentioned this, I guess, but if you leave, then the special use goes away. So as long as you're there, it's in effect.
Okay.
I just want to thank you, Amy, I know some of the work you've been doing, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And I will just keep doing the good work.
Thanks. Thanks.
What's the size of the membership that we're talking about?
The membership is, I guess, about maybe 70 or 80 people, but the majority of it is children, because the people that I cater to that comes to where I am is single mothers with children, single fathers with children, and we only have 2 married couples in the church, and I thank God that I was one that married those 2. So it's a lot of children, but it's not that many adults, because the parents are single parents. And just to give one little testimony, I have a complete family, and all the way up to the grandmother, the great-grandmother. This is their first time to be churched. And to be able to do this. A lot of people just don't know. A lot of us are so blessed that we were raised in churches and raised in a community where there wasn't a church, there was community people that helped one another. But nowadays, people don't speak out because they're scared. They're scared to speak out, but they can speak against, but they're not going to come to that person and try to tell them something. And if you go the right way, and if you go in love, you'll be surprised at the responses that you get. But if you go and say, well, pull up your pants because that looks ridiculous, they're going to come back on you. But if you go and say, well, do you know why you're wearing your pants like this? You go to them in love, and not just so much, because they look for the same thing that we're looking for. We are human beings. But they have been, and I know one of the guys stood up one Sunday, and he told the kids, he said, you all are so blessed. Now you look at him, he got dreadlocks all the way down to there. And when he first come in, his pants down to his knees. And he told those kids, he said, you all are so blessed. He said, when I got to be a big boy, he said, I was going to the club with my mama. I was rolling joints with my mama. He said, but you guys are so blessed to have somebody to tell you this is not right. That's what I'm all about. I'm not per se a church. I'm not per se a church. I want to just say I'm a person that want to see the community change. In order to change the community, you got to change the mind. You have got to change that person's mind. Because you can't change his mind, you're not going to change the community.
We had a little discussion before the meeting about parking, and that was something that was not on here. And I think Ms. Mangum said she would have adequate room inside the property where the fence is for parking, but she had asked about I think anything outside of the fence would probably be in the city easement, about seeing what has to happen with that. And I think she's going to talk to Brandon to if I guess we could go ahead with this. But anyway, that will probably pose some kind of issue.
But those lots are so huge.
They are.
They are so huge.
So you think you have enough room for parking on your property without the city?
Oh, yes.
I went by.
Yeah,
the meeting.
it's
It is
huge.
adequate room inside.
And we got other plans as we grow. We have to come back to you guys again.
Okay. Thank you, Ann. Next, we'll move into our consent agenda.
Madam Chair, unless there's corrections I'm unaware of, I move that we approve both sets of minutes for March 27th as presented.
Motion and a
Second motion.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Okay, now we'll move into our regular agenda. Consider a request for special use permits to allow for existing residential property located 609 North 17th Street to be utilized as non-commercial kennel under MDR, Medium Density Residential Zoning District.
Madam Chair, it seems that this use has actually gone away, and I move we deny it.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to deny. All in favor of it, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Consider a request for a special use permit to allow for the utilization of existing residential structure as a places of assembly for property located at 224 and 232 West Tinsley Street.
Make a motion to approve with the 4 conditions.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with the 4 conditions. All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Thank you. Consider a contract between the City of Griffin and Ponds Company for the completion of a consolidation housing plan and market analysis in the amount of $34,800 with up to $10,000 to be reimbursed by the Griffin Housing Authority through an intergovernmental agreement.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We put out an RFP with the city did for this housing plan to look at citywide the conditions of the housing and the needs for the future. I believe when Frederick was here, the planning department previously went and did a housing condition survey. That's about where it stopped. This will be more of a market analysis to figure out what the long-term housing needs for the future of the city of Griffin are, and we'll do it in conjunction with the housing authority, who presented at the last meeting and gave kind of quite a big overview of their future partnership with the city. They are kicking in $10,000, up to $10,000 to help pay for it. Pond and Company, who we know well through our comprehensive plans and other planning studies, such as the LCI studies in the West Griffin, they were the best bid that we reviewed. Actually had a very impressive team assembled to do this.
Make the motion to approve.
How does it,
We need a second.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
How does this work with the 2008 housing survey that we did as far as the inventory piece of it?
This will update it, and it'll be a little bit more comprehensive. We've had some changes since then. It's only been, 4 years, but that's a long time. And we've had properties demoed. We've had other properties that go into more disrepair. And from what we did on the spreadsheet level, essentially is what we have. I think Pond will have a little bit more, probably complicated and a little bit more, just a better system
So
for
we'll
tracking
get
it.
to see where those things in 2008 are compared to right now.
Oh, yes.
With a nice updated spreadsheet to be able to
And map it,
see what happened and
everything. We'll have a full report with maps and lots of pretty pictures, and hopefully to show some improvement, at least on the demo side, and maybe on the renovation side, because we have had renovation permits. Not a whole lot of new residential construction, of course, but
What's the
renovation.
time frame for, I guess, getting through 1.3.2?
We're trying to get this done before the end of the fiscal year, so they're ready to go.
Okay. Any more questions or more discussion? All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Thank you. Consider the purchase of one 245 HD 2-yard compactor with 40-yard.
I think we skipped 9.
Did I skip 9? Consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Griffin and the Housing Authority to jointly fund a consolidated housing plan and market analysis.
Madam Chair, I move we approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Now, consider the request, the purchase of one 245 HD 2-yard compactor with 40-yard receiving container from Waste Equip Manufacturing Company, the lowest and most responsive bidder for use at HK Logistics per their request for the price of $21,288, and by resolution, amend the budget accordingly.
Madam Chair, I move we approve, and I like the fact that it pays for itself the first year pretty much.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, let me know by show of hands. 6-0. Consider awarding bid to Rush Truck Center for a 2013 International 4300 4x4 dump truck in the amount of $99,903 for use in the stormwater division.
I move we approve, but I've got a question.
Second.
I see there's only one bid. These are not on the state contract purchase price, or are they?
This truck has special, consideration as far as what we put on it. There was 2 bids originally, and, they added an addendum to the bid, and come back to bid on it.
I saw you took away some bells and whistles you didn't need, but.
Thank you. Okay, we had a motion and a second. Anything else? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Consider approval of the City of Griffin's Water Master Plan 2010 through 2050.
Madam Chair, I move we approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Consider approval of a resolution ratifying the contract previously executed for the sale of excess capacity to the City of Griffin.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
May I ask, if I understand this and read this correctly, this is not a 1 year, this is forever. This .002, it's gone.
That's correct. This is the same deal that is with the only sale. This is just for the bond transfer. It's just the documentation. It's
Thank you.
Okay. Did we vote? No, all in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Okay, consider a resolution to induce the Kroger Company to construct a new retail center on West Taylor Street, Georgia Highway 16, within Tax Allocation District Number 2, West Griffin Village, to provide for the issuance of an TAD bond pursuant to the Redevelopment Powers Act in the amount not to exceed $2 million, declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures relating to project costs from bond proceeds and for other purpose.
We talked to y'all about 3 weeks ago at the workshop about this project and about their request that the city issue a TAD bond in order to finance part of the cost. This is the inducement resolution. It's not the bond resolution, so you're not actually voting to issue bonds tonight. This is simply an inducement resolution showing the intent of the city to issue bonds in an amount not to exceed $2 million. If you'll thumb back to your last page in your packet, there is a list of basically off-site and on-site cost outside of the footprint of the building itself. What we believe through negotiations with Kroger and their attorneys is that we will issue bonds with the principal amount, with the construction fund amount of $1,325,000, which would cover all of the costs you see listed down through the item of landscaping. We would not be paying for either asphalt paving and striping or parking lot lighting, and that would leave roughly $44,000 to go towards the application of soft costs. Soft costs are mostly the architectural, engineering, design, and permitting expenses for this project. So that's where the money would go. But the issuance amount would be enough to generate the $1.325 million plus the cost of issuance and the interest.
Does Spalding County have to go along with us on this?
Spalding County will have to participate with this. They have given us, and a copy of the resolution is attached in your package. By law, once you pass a bond resolution, we then have to take that resolution back to Spalding County and obtain another resolution from them at that time. This one that we have was a little premature, frankly, but we wanted to know up front if they're willing to participate in the project, and they are.
And the amount of revenue that's coming in from the TAD is at 1.325, that
We would,
accurate number?
well,
And what happens if?
the repayment of the bonds will be over a 20-year period. That's what we're looking at, bonds that would issue for 20 years. The repayment comes from the positive tax increment. In other words, when you set up the TAD district in 2009, you basically pegged or froze the taxable value of properties in accordance with the 2009 digest. What you're having now is any new growth within the district, such as the Kroger project itself, will add value, and the tax on that added value becomes the positive increment. If the district does not produce a positive increment, then the bonds don't get repaid or repaid timely, but that risk goes with the purchaser of the bond. Right now, it's going to probably be a subsidiary corporation of Kroger who will actually buy these bonds.
Madam Chair, I want to restate that too, because I know there's always folks out there who misinterpret or misstate, but this, I'm going to repeat part of this. These tax allocation bonds are repayable solely from the positive tax increment. In other words, extra tax from the new building. They're non-recourse bonds, the purchaser bearing the risk. The positive tax increment proves insufficient to repay the bonds. That's their fault. The general obligation of the city and county is not at risk for prepayment. So our taxpayers are not at risk, and we need that out there so folks don't.
If hypothetically, if we reduced our millage rate from 8.6 mils, say down to 6 mils, the amount of projected revenue would significantly reduce. So that's all in consideration over time. Over the 20 years, if we're able to reduce our millage rate, that would reduce the amount taxable.
Well, whatever your millage rate would be, you'll be taxing two areas. You'll have the base increment, and then you have the positive increment, or the added value. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So whatever you set your millage rate at, whatever is taxed against that positive increment is all that goes towards bond repayment. The part that's taxed against the base increment goes back to your general fund, just like it does today.
In the same way, I think if the millage rate increases, they'd be.
Theoretically, if the millage rate were to
produced in the same
increase,
way.
it could pay it off quicker.
And in regards to the intersection improvements, Dr. Keller, at Georgia 16 and Highway 1941, we had mentioned at the workshop, are we going to have some large matches that are going to be coming up for us on the intersection improvement? Are any of these funds available for that, the signalization?
At this time, none of the funds are available for that intersection. Some of these funds will be available on the West Poplar Street side. There'll be some additional right-of-way acquired, and unless Adam has seen something today, we still don't have the final plans and drawings on those improvements in yet, but they're in the process, and there's been some preliminary discussion of those at the pre-construction meeting last week.
Are they intending for the TAD proceeds to just cover principal, and they're going to cover the interest expense on those? Or?
Well, no, the repayment coming from the TAD, the positive tax increment, will also pay the interest, pay principal and interest on the bonds.
All right, because we're looking at 1.325 being the principal.
Well, the 1.325 would basically be the amount of funds available to apply towards the project.
Okay.
You'll have that base amount plus the issuance cost.
So the actual bond amount.
I think you'll actually generate about 1.4 million at the time of issuance, and then you'll pay the cost. The rest of it will go towards the project. And then as the TAD pays off, the payment schedule will calculate to pay the interest as well as the principal, and amortize that over the 20-year life of the bonds.
So the principal amount that they're actually gonna issue on the bonds is less than 1.3?
No, it should be, it's probably gonna come out closer to the $2 million in payback.
Okay, which they're only getting 1.325
Right.
million from the so then they're
Right.
basically being responsible for the interest expense.
Right. Well, their repayment comes from us
Well, they're
collecting
not
the...
separating it, but that's how it's ultimately gonna be. If we're
Right,
going to
we
do it.
collect the tax, and we take that portion, instead of putting it in general fund, that portion goes back to a bond trustee who will handle the repayments.
So bottom line is the bond that we're looking at issue is not gonna be paid back fully by the proceeds of this TAD.
Well, hopefully it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should.
Well, if
Through
we're talking about
the
$2
positive
million,
increment of the district.
The taxes on new development,
we're saying estimated TAD bond proceeds, 1.325 million.
Right, that's
Well,
going to
we're
be the
talking
amount
about the total
available
cost.
to apply physically to the project.
Okay,
The face amount of those bonds, when we issue, could be more than that, probably will be more than that. But then the repayment back will be the total obligation back on the bonds, which is principal plus interest, just like it is on a note or a mortgage.
right, so total cost is gonna be somewhere around 2 million, but the proceeds.
Yeah,
of that
the
is
repayment cost, as I
1.325
say,
million.
probably is going to be in the neighborhood of $2 million.
Okay. So the TAD proceeds are going to be less than the total cost of the bond issuance.
I see what he's saying.
Yes,
Where
the-
are we gonna get the
Yeah,
other
yeah, the proceeds.
.7 from?
You're going to take it from the TAD district over the next 20 years once the bond's issued. In other words, at the end of that 20-year period, the obligation goes away, and it should be fully repaid. It may repay sooner than that, depending on the size of that increment.
We're gonna give them the 1.3, but we expect over the 20-year period for it to generate 2 mil to pay off the entire
We
thing?
expect the TAD district, the
Right.
positive increment of the TAD district to generate more than 1.325.
So this is just referring to the individual project, but we're
Right.
looking at the entire district to go towards the
That's right.
proceeds from the
This
entire
project
district to go
becomes
towards
part
the
of that increment, but there may be other growth. Well, hopefully there will be other growth.
Okay.
We don't know of anything major at this time within the district. This is really the first project since you created this TAD district in 2009 that, has shown any promise of developing there.
Okay, so this bond issuance is kind of banking on that.
And yes, but the actual estimate of taxes off of this project alone,
Or most of it.
Sales taxes and
Yeah.
other taxes.
Well, no, only ad valorem taxes on real
Yes,
estate.
but other.
No personal
revenue.
property, none of the other occupation taxes, whatnot.
But there are
not
other
included.
revenue streams that'll be coming in from the selling utilities.
Yeah, so
occupational taxes.
you're absolutely correct. That
everything
will be
else
coming
go
in to the city from other
The
sources.
multiplier.
But not to go to repay bonds.
That's correct.
For the general fund. Yes.
Coming back just like it is today, just for your general fund and city operations.
It doesn't bother me a lot because I know ultimately the risk is on them to cover the difference, but this ultimately is building in a projection for the rest of the district to be generating some money to help pay for these bonds too, not just their project. So, I want to be clear on that, because that's a decent assumption going into what they're.
As we told you before, this is a relatively new concept
Yeah.
in Georgia law. The Atlantic Station project in Atlanta is probably the best known. It was the first TAD issuance in the state of Georgia. Most of the infrastructure, parking lot areas, whatnot, at Atlantic Station were all built through this type of financing.
Okay. All right.
Did we have a motion in a second?
Yeah, I think we did. Okay. Did we have a motion on the
Yeah, we
second?
did.
I think you did. Did you move it, Dick?
I thought so.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
If I didn't, I will.
Yeah,
I did.
maybe you better restate it, because I'm not sure. we
Okay,
did.
Madam Chair.
We did.
I move we approve the resolution.
I'll second the resolution.
Motion and second. All in favor, let it be known by show of hands. 6-0. Okay, the next item is consider, the renaming of Chapel Street to J. Roger Miller Drive.
I make a motion to table.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table this, to a future meeting. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to know why we table.
Actually, a motion to table is non-debatable, it takes priority.
Motion and a second. All in favor, let me know by show of hands. 5-1. Okay, consider request for Commissioner Dick Morrow to attend GMA Legislative Policy Council meeting in Metter, Georgia on May 16 and 17.
I move that we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, let me know by show of hands. 6-0. Consider an expenditure of $1,000 from Commissioner Contingency to assist with expense of 2012 One Town, One Goal project at Raymond Head Park and amend the budget accordingly.
I move we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, let me know by show of hands. 6-0. City Manager's report.
Yes, ma'am, as you know, we're hosting the GMA Spring listening sessions here in Griffin, and we've got a sign-up sheet that I need to get back to them as soon as possible so we'll know about how many to prepare for. That's Thursday evening, April 26th at 6:30 at the Welcome Center. So I need to get some names on that and
I'm coming.
get it back to them.
Thank you, Cora.
Cynthia.
Tomorrow, anybody else?
Here.
They,
Here in Griffin?
yes, sir, it's here on Thursday, the 26th.
I should be there.
Tentative.
Go ahead, include me.
Very good. Sir?
What time?
6:30. Dinner will be served. This Thursday and Friday, we will be hosting the Georgia Recycling Coalition here in Griffin. Mr. Francis will be the host for that group. They'll be meeting at the Welcome Center. They'll be touring our recycling center, and I'm sure you would be welcome to stop by if you want to stop by and see what's going on.
When is that?
At the Welcome Center,
When?
Thursday and Friday, this week, this Thursday and Friday.
You can wear a tie?
Like for you to consider tentatively that we have 2 workshops in May. We're struggling our way through the budget right now, and I would like to hope that we will have it ready to discuss the first meeting in May. So, if that's okay, can we schedule 2 workshops for May for budget purposes?
It's okay with me.
And if for some reason we don't quite make it to that deadline, then we'll drop back and punt on the schedule, but I'd like to shoot for that anyway. And with that in mind, we usually cancel the second meeting in June because of GMA. That's a GMA travel back day, so it's feasible that everybody would be back that evening, but usually it's kind of rushed. So in order to prepare the budget and know how many dates we got left to discuss it, it would be nice to know if your intent is to cancel that meeting.
Well, I'm canceling.
I can go either way. I'll be back.
If we've got to have a meeting, we could always,
Reschedule it.
when we have a meeting, as of now.
For tentatively now, say, yeah, we can.
Okay, very good. That's all I have. Thank you.
You have anything, Drew?
No, no.
You have anything, Commissioner?
Well, I just want to clear up a little something, probably with Ms. Sanders. I just want to let her know that my spirit has never been to name any streets after African Americans. I don't think we should go down that line, African Americans. I think we should name it after. I just hate to see anything divided between African Americans and Caucasian people or Hispanic people or anything. I think what I had in mind of doing, it was for a good human being that had done a lot in the community, for the community, not for no African Americans. That's not my spirit, and I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Morrow?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
This Saturday stream cleanup, Dr. Keller, you and your crew, we appreciate y'all's hard effort. Look forward to having a group out there playing in the streams. And if you'll bear with me one quick second on this one. We have an expression in America that says, he is the real deal. What we are saying is the person in question is really who they are appearing to be. They are not trying to be or convince you they are someone they are not. It is a compliment when someone says, you are the real deal. It means you are not a hypocrite or trying to be something or someone you are not. Over this debate about people being named after certain buildings, streets, and things like that, we had a gentleman that passed away this past week that was a dear friend of mine that I consider a real deal. And each of us has folks in our lives that are real deals, whether it could be a family member, it could be a pastor, it could be a school teacher, an athletic coach. But Mr. Charles Hammock, who was a gentleman that gave so much to this community, whether it was through Operation Helping Hand, through Habitat for Humanity, through Kiwanis, as a deacon at church, you name it, soup kitchen, furniture ministry. Charles Hammock, since he retired from Blake Builder Supply, gave his life to Griffin and Spalding County. And as we're thinking of his family, I just wanted to mention Charles Hammock for all he did for Griffin. And he was a General Griffin a couple of years ago. So he will be missed, and he was a good friend and mentor of mine.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I wanted to say I had a slight departure in how I voted today from what I typically do when we voted on the two residences to be used as places of assembly. Normally I would prefer things like that be kept in the commercial type areas and whatnot, but my mind has changed over time, and a lot of it relates to, a lot of the talk around gang activity and things that we're seeing. And I wanted to put out there because I feel like that is one of the solutions to this whole problem as a whole. And I know that Kenny, the county, and the school system got together to talk about gang activity and try to look at this a little bit bigger approach. But I also know that in discussion in that meeting, the information was appreciated and it was good, but it got angled a lot towards school system versus a brainstorming session about what can be done at every single level. So I would ask that, Kenny, if you could get William again and try for a round two and look at this as a more community-wide thing versus how can we do some training in the schools and that sort of thing, and see if we can't come with some practical, tangible solutions that we can address it, from all different levels and one big approach to see if we can tackle this in maybe a new way. So I do think that's part of one of the ideas out there, and one of the solutions is getting more penetration in the neighborhood of people that want to help those neighborhoods. So that's going to change my outlook, but I think we can come up with a lot of ideas if we put you guys together and with the goal that let's generate those ideas.
Okay. Workshop worthy.
You gave me some food for thought, I guess. But, for a long time, what I have thought or said is that instead of having to react to situations, if we were proactive, and I think that we could have been about this situation some years ago, because actually what's happening now is nothing different than that was happening then. And somehow with what we did then circumvented a lot of things, and it could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good idea, that maybe we should have some things in place so that we won't have to react to what happens. We will already have prepared for these things since we know they're coming. The other thing is that I would like for us to go ahead and say that in maybe our next meeting, do we have a planned workshop? We do have it for April?
Yes, ma'am, we have a workshop the fourth Tuesday in April.
Okay, how full is it?
We can add, it's okay.
Okay, and I would like for us to add the discussion about the street renaming to that workshop.
Okay.
Okay, there's nothing further.
Motion adjourned.
Second. Aye. Thank you.